You and your family are under attack. The world and the forces of darkness have declared war. Most men are not even in the fight. Get in the fight. Most men drift. Sin wins. Families crumble. You were not made to drift. You were made to follow the King. Follow God. Your wife is watching. Your kids are waiting. Lead them or lose them. That is not a threat. That is a fact. Lead them. On your knees first, then your feet. Then you train. Every single day. No exceptions. Train hard. Soft men leave families exposed. God called you to protect, provide, and disciple. Are you ready, or are you a liability? Get prepared. Debt is a chain. It owns your time, your options, your mission. Break it. Steward what God gave you, like a man accountable to the King. Break free. No warrior survives alone. Lock in with brothers. Will not let you down. Go soft. Go silent. Lock shields. Your vows were not a feeling. Your word is not negotiable. Faithful to your wife, your word, your God, your covenant. Every day. No compromise. I was that man. No plan. No brothers. No standard. God rescued me. Then he told me to go get others. 1 year, 7 battlefields. Men who will never let you down. The link is below. Enlist now. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Shieldwall. 13 American service members are dead tonight. A Catholic priest was killed this month by an Israeli double strike on a Christian town in Lebanon. Gas is at $4 and climbing. 23 straight days of increases. Your grocery bill went up this week, and you felt it. The Iran war is in its 4th week. Over 2,000 people are dead across the Middle East. The Strait of Hormuz is blocked. Most are calling it the worst energy crisis since the 1970s. And the highest ranking official to resign from the Trump administration over this war, a decorated Green Beret with 11 combat deployments, 6 Bronze Stars, and a Gold Star husband who buried his wife in a war zone, was called an anti-Semite and a traitor for saying it did not have to happen. Welcome to the Shieldwall. This is episode 1. This is a Christian fellowship show, live every Friday at 9 p.m. We teach, we unpack current events through the lens of Scripture and how it applies to you and your family. We reclaim the Christian warrior heritage that was buried on purpose, and we take your calls, testimonies, struggles, victories, supporting each other in the crusade. Tonight, we're going to talk about what is happening in the Middle East and why the American church is on the wrong side of it. Why many of the American church are on the wrong side of it. Then I'm going to take you back 1,300 years to a hillside in France and show you what it looks like when men hold the line. And then we are going to open the phones and talk. Let's go. So I'm so excited to be back. It's Friday. We have been playing, we have done many iterations of Strength and Honor, Christian Warrior Talk on Fridays. It's always been our best time. It's been the time when we've had the most people, and saluting everyone, with our good old Strength and Honor. Let's see, make sure I got it here.
Strength and Honor. Strength and Honor. Strength and Honor.
So when you come on, please sound off Strength and Honor, and we will toast. All right. So tonight is the maiden voyage of this newest enterprise. I hope that we will be doing many more of these. We'll see. If we continue on and it gets traction, then, we'll keep doing it. I want to try something, and you guys need to tell me if you can hear it, because Lauren says I sound good, so that's great. But here's something I want to do. I've been making music, and I know a lot of you will laugh at that, but I've been making music, and I've been making God-honoring music, because music is something that I struggle with when I get saved. When I got saved, I used to listen to the most angry, horrific music known to man to work out to, which is what many in the military and others around the world do. And one of the things that God took from me was the ability to listen to really aggressive, hardcore music. And I struggled forever to find anything. And finally, I realized that you can only listen to Skillet so much before you want to vomit. So I had to make my own music. And now I'm going to play some for you guys. Again, this isn't my voice. This is just some stuff that I dug, that I made. It's very unpolished. Tell me what you think. Again, I'm not going to play long form, but tonight is a great night. Tonight, we're going to cover Charles Martel. Charles Martel is one of my heroes that I never knew about until about 4 months ago, when I went down a deep dive into Christian warrior heritage and found something that none of us were taught. I certainly wasn't. No one I know was, about the amazing men who saved the world over and over again. And so tonight I'm going to be debuting the opening to the Charles Martel song. But first here, we're going to play one of my favorites, and this is called Deus Vicit. And this is the story of Jan Sobieski and the great Polish king at 53, who led the impossible cavalry charge of the 3,000 winged hussars down Mount Calidore and saved the world again. Venice surrounded by Turks and Muslims and cannons, and he rode down with his winged knights, and it was awesome. So here you go. No sound? Oh, bummer. Okay. Lauren just told me that you guys couldn't hear it, which is really unfortunate, because I was really hoping you could. So I'll have to figure out how to get you to that, and then I'll have to edit this out. But sorry you can't hear it, but it is pretty epic stuff. I'm going to try. You know what I do? I know how I can do it. I can share my screen, and then you'll get it. So let's try it one more time. I think you guys will hear it. Can you hear me? Because you don't hear anything, but let me see if you can hear me. So I'm going to try this now, and we will give it a shot again. So again, this is Deus Vicit. Latin. We came and saw God.
We don't worship thunder, horses like storm. A line collapses where the charge is born. So Bisky rides, but heaven goes first. The Lord of Hosts breaks the siege and the curse. Hold the line, brother, I've got your six. Temptation hunts you, but Christ doesn't miss. Not by your strength, by his. Not by your strength, by his.
All right, so this is an announcement night, and I want to introduce my Christian Warrior Mission family to our newest member, and this is Titus. This is our new livestock guardian dog, and we had a litter here. So Sig, our girl, and Glock, our boy, made puppies, and he was the first one we decided to keep. And he is awesome. He is the giant of the litter and just the sweetest guy, the most patient, and a very soggy, wet fur ball right now. And so this here is the newest member of the family, and I hope you guys can see him, and I'll be posting about him, on the social media as he grows, because he's not going to stay this small. He's definitely not going to stay this small, but this guy will be awesome, and he will be protecting our girls and our herds and our flock. And then we have, he's gotten huge, man. And then we have two we are trying to decide which one of these we're going to keep. Hi, buddy. Yeah. And this here is Logan. Logan is one of our candidates for a number 2, and Logan's smaller than Titus, but they share a similar temperament. So in livestock guardian dogs, you really want, you might not necessarily want a pet behavior. So, we have the next one that we're going to bring in here, which is, I call her Freya. The girls call her Freya. But she's the most sweetest, stumbling, fluffy pet master. Here you go. I see him. Oh, it's okay.
Might have just failed out of the program.
Okay. So this here is Miss Freya, and she is the most sweet of the litter. She loves to snuggle. She loves to play, but she's the biggest scaredy cat. And what you want is, for a livestock guardian dog, is you don't want them to need people. You want them to like people. You want them to like you, but you don't want them to be needy, and you don't want them to be scared. Scared dogs make very bad decisions. So we really need dogs that can be like independent. So Titus and Logan have been very cool. They have been very laid back, and they're friendly, they're social, but they're not all up in your business, and they're always kind of laying down watching everyone, which is what you want. Right. So you got to fight the instinct to want the puppy that wants you so bad, which all of us want puppies to want us so bad. Right. Of course. I mean, they're puppies. Of course you want them to want you. But, choosing a working dog is very different than choosing a pet. So I think Freya Rhea is going to be out, and I think it's going to be Logan and Titus. So that's what I think Lauren's leaning to. The kids just love Freya because she's floppy all over. She's the biggest puppy out of all of them, believe it or not, size wise. But she's a scaredy cat, but a sweet love bug. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that song. I'm going to be pushing that out with about 7 other songs. Each one is about a Christian hero that history erased. Okay. And this is a way for us to like, my goal with the music is to do this. It's to teach Christian warrior heritage that has been lost. It's to give men something to, and women to work out to that doesn't betray God. It's all God honoring, meaning that it's always pointing to Christ. It's never glorifying the dude. It's glorifying the King of all kings. It teaches the gospel, and then it teaches application. So that is my plan for the music. And I'll tell you, there are a few things. I wish I had a musical educated background, because I don't know what things are called. So I'm in there with AI and I'm trying to figure out what things are called to make songs the way I want them to do it. And I like it a lot. I really enjoy it. I mean, I have like tears of joy streaming down my face making this music. And I just am so clumsy at it. And when I get it right, it's awesome. And when I don't, well, I lose my mind. But so anyways, that's the music. I'm going to play another song for you here at the end of this next, or part of it anyways, right? I don't want to make you guys sit there and watch me listening stuff, but let's get into the news now. All right. And what this means to you, what I'm trying to do is always start with a new segment that, and what it relates to you, stuff you're thinking about right now, how it relates to you and your family. So last week, I was in a massive battle with like all these lifelong friends over some pretty horrible stuff, but let's get into it. So the Iranian war, Joe Kent, and the dispensationalist mind virus. That's what we're going to cover tonight. Part A is Joe Kent, a man who held the line. Who is he? Joe Kent, a former Green Beret, Army Special Forces. I didn't know him from Adam. I don't know him at all. 11 combat deployments, former CIA paramilitary officer, 20 years of service. He deployed 11 times, like I said, won 6 Bronze Stars as an enlisted guy. All right, officers can write their own rewards and awards and whatever, but enlisted guy, right? On top of this, I don't know anyone in the community. So if you guys have known and you've been following the drama and military special forces, SEAL, blah, 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 everyone talks smack about everyone, right? Everyone else sucks except for them. And, this guy wasn't that great and blah, 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 blah. Whether they're talking about Chris Kyle or Rob O'Neill, everyone just stabs everyone in the back, and it's absolutely disgusting, right? No one has said one negative word about Joe Kent's operating, which means that he's a stud, okay? Now, his wife, Shannon, was a Navy senior chief petty officer, a cryptologist, meaning like intel, and she was killed by an ISIS suicide bomber in Syria in 2019. Okay, so this is some more about Joe Kent. Trump handpicked him to run the National Counterterrorism Center, right? All right. He is MAGA to his core, America first, but not everyone else but America first. This dude is legit. And, I've been talking to so many people lately about this, right? Being principled is very hard. It's not complicated. You always know what you're supposed to do, but it's hard because it costs you. Okay. I've lost more money in my business since I became an outspoken person than we made. Okay. That's just a fact. We've lost, a lot of business. It's put us on very hard times, but I have to speak truth. I'm answerable to God for that. And when men of substance, and they prove their substance over decades and decades of service where they excelled and set the standard and were just amazing heroes, and they sacrifice their career and know they're going to get blowback, and they still do it because it's principled, that's the guy I will trust all day, every day. Okay. So now let's fast forward to what he did. On March 16th, Joe Kent walked into the room with the President of the United States, the Vice President, the White House Chief of Staff, and he told them to their faces he was resigning over the Iran war. He published his resignation letter on X. He said, Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. Okay. He said, as a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times and as a Gold Star husband who had lost my beloved wife Shannon in a war manufactured by Israel. This is the previous war. I cannot support sending the next generation off to die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people. All right? That is not a politician talking. That is a man who buried his wife talking. You got to know the difference there. All right? And someone has to stick up for the war fighters, man. So, like, I look back at, and depending on how far back you go in history, and that's a really slippery slope you go down. And you sit there and you wonder, did anything I do or anything any of my friends did or anything the American military has done in the past 50, 60, 70 years worth anything? Is it worth any one of those men's lives? Vietnam, was anything worth their lives? I'd say no. Is anything we've done since then worth American lives? I can't think of anything. I love those men infinitely more than anything that we might have gained, which I don't think we gained everything. I think we spent a lot of treasure and a lot of politicians got rich. I think of all the family lines that have ended from men that I know that never had kids. I think of all the widows who had to rebuild their lives. I think of all the kids that don't have a dad. I think of all my broken friends, whether mentally, emotionally, or physically. And I can't see the benefit. And it breaks my heart. As you guys know, I was an atheist for 37 years. For 37 years, I worshiped America. That was my only God. I believed the nation building lies. I believed it all, hook, line, and sinker. Then I found God. God showed me I made an idol of my country. But I was still all in. And then the Afghanistan withdrawal happened. That changed everything. We all saw with utter certainty the catastrophic waste of time that was. Catastrophic waste of time that was. So Joe Kent agrees with that. He went on Tucker Carlson's show. He said there was no intelligence, none, indicating that the imminent Iranian threat. No Plan 9/11, no Pearl Harbor, none. He had access to the highest level intelligence in the country, and he said it was not there. So I have a lot of stupid friends, okay? And they're not stupid because they don't agree with me. They're stupid because they have no lack of awareness. They're carpenters who've never served in the military, or people who've never held a clearance or never been in a fist fight in their life. And, they get on these Facebook exchanges and they act like they're subject matter experts and their opinion matters as much as Joe Kent. I don't give Joe Kent credibility just because he was a war vet and that he is a decorated war hero. That does give him some credibility, and I'm willing to hear him out always because of that. It's because of what his position was, you morons. His position was to have the intelligence to defend America against attacks. He was on the tip of the spear. You inhale sawdust for a living and put lacquer on cabinets. Let's not pretend you are Joe Kent's equal. You're equal in value to God, but not on this subject. All right. And you wouldn't believe how many other people who've never served or never been in any special capacity for anything come out and act like their opinion carries as much weight as informed people do. Informed people with high character, right? Who have done the job and were there. They were in the seat. They were there when this went down. With access and knowledge. Now, you can disagree with his assessment, and there are military guys who share similar things and experience who may have a differing opinion. I'm willing to hear them out. I'm willing to hear them out, and I don't think they're bad guys because they have a different opinion, and I don't think they're stupid if they have a differing opinion. I disagree with their opinion. Many of them can articulate very, why they feel the way they do. But to the guys who've done nothing, whether you're an accountant who's never done a darn thing for anyone in your life, period, or a whatever, and you're trying to judge and you're calling a veteran who served his country with distinction through 11 deployments, 6 Bronze Stars, a Gold Star husband, a traitor, the most filthy word in the veteran dictionary. You have the balls to call him a traitor? You have no attachment to reality. Anyone who says that is if you're a veteran, you want to call him that, fine. I think you're misguided. You earned the right. You served. You signed up. You bled. Your friends died. Fine. All you want. But to super safe civilian who's never done anything to anyone, shut up. No one cares what you have to say about anything. To my veteran brothers who disagree with me on this, I love you still. You can disagree with me on this. You've earned that right. But just understand this. If you want to start calling a fellow brother a traitor because he's not a cheerleader and he doesn't rubber stamp everything his favorite political candidate does, that if Joe Kent's service and sacrifice doesn't matter, then none of our sacrifices matter. Then none of them do. That means that every veteran's sacrifice, no matter how great they were, is valueless. Either you're a man of substance who served his country with honor and distinction and paid the highest price as a Gold Star husband, which I don't know anyone else who's gone through that. Right? Don't know anyone. If that doesn't matter to you, then I don't think you're aware that you're completely disposable, that all veterans are disposable. If all veterans are disposable, that's a dark, 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 dark hole to go down. Who's going to serve in the military if all veterans are disposable? Foreigners? Maybe that's the plan. To get a bunch of foreigners to serve in our military, to become civilians or citizens, will then persecute the American population, unlike the patriots that love this country and who are the best of the best. So let's talk about a couple things. And I want to say this straight. I voted for Trump 3 times. I was at the Million MAGA March. I was at January 6th. I was at the Richmond First Amendment march or protest. I'm an avid supporter of Trump, but I don't think he's flawless. And I think he can get some stuff wrong. Okay? He's not the Messiah that people try to make him to be. He's just a dude doing the best he can, and he's fallible like anyone else. So this is what they did to him. Trump, the man who personally nominated him, said, I always thought he was weak on security and I didn't know him well. Well, then why'd you nominate him? Right? Some of the most childish thing. This is Trump at his worst. Instead of sitting there saying, hey, he's got his own opinions, I support that, he acts like a 4-year-old. Mitch McConnell called his letter virulent anti-Semitism, which is something we're going to get into. The ADL said he was trafficking and age-old anti-Semitic tropes. Right? Again, if you disagree with Israel on anything, no matter what they do, you're anti-Semitic. AIPAC attacked him. The FBI supposedly, no one's proved it, no one's shown it, supposedly opened an investigation into him for alleged leaks conveniently surfaced the day after his resignation. Which is absolute garbage. So understand this, a man who gave 20 years of his life to his country, who deployed to combat 11 times, who buried his wife because she was killed in a war zone, who had access to every piece of intelligence this nation possessed, who looked at evidence and said this war was not justified, and a foreign government drove that decision, okay? And for that, he is called an anti-Semite. Where have we seen these tactics before? Well, we saw it during COVID, right? You got to silence anyone who disagrees with COVID, which is basically all of MAGA and all of conservatism, right? We've all been smashed down for our opinions. We were all shadow banned or booted off all these social media platforms. The only reason why we're being heard right now is because God bless Elon Musk for buying Twitter and forcing them all to. And saving the world. Elon must save the world, period. We saw with BLM. Disagree with anything, with anybody with pigment in their skin, and you're a racist. You're another ist. And now here we're an anti-Semite. I am a free speech absolutionist, period. Anything else is a slippery slope into the thought police and the word police, and who decides what is right or wrong. No one should deserve that power. So that word has become a weapon, not to protect Jewish people, not to fight actual hatred, to silence anyone who asks whether a foreign government should be driving American foreign policy and sending American children to die. They should not. Hating Jewish people is a sin. Ethnic hatred of any group is a sin. Hating any human is a sin. Every human being bears the image of God, but criticizing the policy of a modern, secular government is not anti-Semitism. It's not. It never has been. And the fact that a decorated combat veteran cannot say Israel pressured us into this war without being compared to Nazis tells you everything you need to know about who controls this conversation. So how could so many people fall for this? How could so many Christians fall for this? How? Well, that's the mind virus. There's a mind virus, which is the LGBTQ, which Elon Musk has vowed to destroy and has done great work at that. But there's a mind virus in our church, and it's dispensationalism. So here is the question every Christian watching this needs to answer. Why? Why do millions of American believers think they have a biblical obligation to support whatever the modern state of Israel does? Why do pastors tell their congregations that opposing the Israel government policy is opposing God? Pastors say that. Pastors have been paid to say that by Israel without you knowing. Why is I stand with Israel treated like a creed in the evangelical church? And notice it's always like the low discernment churches. It's the charismatics, the Calvary chapels. It's the ones, again, who speak in tongues and, think they're healers that don't go to cancer wards and cure people. It's the people who were like, before they were Christians, were worshiping crystals and tried every other fad that has ever existed. It's those people, the zero discernment, that always fall for this garbage. The answer to this is why they believe this is dispensationalism. Now, not all dispensationalists do this, but too many of them do. I know great dispensationalists who are awesome that I would go to war with tomorrow because they haven't lost their mind. Unfortunately, many have. So the answer is dispensationalism, a 19th century theology. It was just invented. Okay. This has hijacked American Christianity and is now getting people killed, unfortunately. Here's what it teaches. God has two people, ethnic Israel and the church. Separate plans, separate destinies. The promise God made to Abraham are fulfilled in the modern nation state of Israel, not in the church and in Christ and in his church. Okay, you hear that? The promises God made to Abraham are fulfilled by a modern nation state and not Jesus Christ and his church. Full stop. Christians, according to them, must support Israel unconditionally to receive God's blessings, Genesis 12:3, ripped out of context and turned into foreign policy. I saw a brother who I love dearly. We share a spiritual father. Get on stage during a sermon and say, we have to support everything the nation state of Israel does. Literally, that we have to support. This is a quote, which caused me to reach out to him and have a very long, tasteful debate with him. But that is terrifying. History is heading towards catastrophe. This is what dispensationalists, we lose down here. Not victory. Rapture theology. We're all going to get called up into the sky as soon as life gets hard. And, God's, the same God who wiped out the world, the same God who made all the apostles suffer, the same God who celebrates martyrs is going to be like, hey, wait a minute. Hey, you know what? You guys in your comfortable Christianity today, right? You guys who are so comfortable, I don't want you to even have to have a bad day ever. So I'm going to rapture you out of there right before life gets hard, right? And then I'm going to do everything. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thought process ever. It's a retreat theology. It's all going to burn anyways, so why fight? Why? I mean, I went to a Calvary Chapel pastors conference when I was thinking that I wanted to do that and being offered the opportunity to do that. And I had multiple speakers sit there and say, hey, it's not our job to change the culture. We're all out of here any day. Matter of fact, one guy called everyone up on stage and offered everyone, or no one went, but he's like, let's get up on stage and practice the rapture dance. And they jumped up in the air. At that point, I got up and walked out and ended my relationship with Calvary Chapel. Not giants that are in that. Well, there's only really one giant in that, which is Ken Graves. But I mean, I also love Travis Carey. But that church was founded by a bunch of dope smoking hippies. Okay. Right. Calvary Chapel was the hippie movement and the Jesus movement, which you saw. And I think it's done a lot of good, but it's one man's theology. It's Chuck Smith's theology. All right. They make an idol out of music, in my opinion. But I still love those guys. I'll still go to war for them. I'll still take a bullet for them. It's the most wishy-washy denomination, I think, out there. But, it's done a lot of good. And they could be right and I could be wrong. I never am convinced. I'm never in a camp so much that if you show me that I'm wrong, I am not willing to change my opinion. I have no emotional attachment to any of this. And I think that's what we need to do. That's who we need to be. The history of this dispensationalism, it was invented by John Nelson Darby in the 1830s, less than 200 years old. Popularized by the Schofield Reference Bible in 1909. For 1,800 years of church history, no one taught this. Not Augustine, not Calvin, not Luther, not the Westminster Divines, not the men who wrote the 1689 London Baptist Confession, not Greek Orthodoxy or Eastern Orthodoxy or Russian Orthodoxy, not the Catholic Church. No one. The historic church position held from the apostles forward is the church is the Israel of God. These people, They're there. And here's some scripture. But it is not as though the word of God has failed, for not all who are descended from Israel belong to Israel. Romans 9:6. If you are of Christ, then you are Abraham's offspring, heirs according to promise. Galatians 3:29. And speaking of the new covenant, he makes the first one obsolete. Hebrews 8:13. The application. Dispensationalism is not just bad theology, it's dangerous theology. It creates a class of Christians who believe they have a divine mandate to support whatever a secular, demonic government that has more abortions and LGBT. Like, you think America's bad? Israel's worse. And support whatever they do, regardless of whether it aligns with justice, wisdom, or the lives of American sons and daughters. Joe Kemp buried his wife because of war in Syria. He looked at that intelligence and said this new war was manufactured by the same pressure. And for saying so, he was called an anti-Semite and a traitor by people who have never deployed, never bled, and never buried a spouse who was killed in combat. The dispensationalist mind virus is the engine that makes that possible. It tells Christians that questioning Israel is questioning God. That is a lie. And it is a lie that is getting people killed. Here's the cure. Read your Bible. Romans 9-11, Galatians 3, Hebrews 8, Ephesians 2. Let Paul tell you who the real Israel of God is. And then decide whether a 19th century theologian invention should be driving your nation's foreign policy and your children's lives. Why do the nations rage and the people plot in vain? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, who sits in the heavens. He who sits in the heavens laughs. The Lord holds them in derision. Psalm 2:1-2:4. Christ is king over every nation, over every magistrate, over every lobby, every army. That is not Christian nationalism. That is Christianity. He is king of the universe. Now, I just told you what's happening in 2026. We're now going to transition to my favorite part of this, which is reclaiming our Christian heritage. I'm going to talk about Charles the Hammer Martel. But first, I got to play this intro because it is too epic of a thing to do without it. Okay, so here is Charles the Hammer Martel's music that I have made. I gotta share the screen again. Could you guys hear that when it played? I think you could, so I'm gonna try it. Let me see here. Replace with that. All right, let's see if it goes. Here we go.
The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. Christ is the forge. He chose to make a hammer. Bastard boy. Cold dark cell. No.
Whoa! All right, let's get into it. Here we go. I started doing this in the Forge. All right. I started doing this day in history and helping guys rediscover their Christian warrior heritage. And it's one of the things that guys love. So if you're still here, you're going to love this. All right. So again, bear with me and just do what I say. Okay. Every historical claim in this is defensible. It is here. It is awesome. So again, I want you to hear me now. Hear everything I'm saying now because this applies today. So they are coming for your family. Will you stop them? Close your eyes and pictures this. Southern France, October 732 AD. You are a farmer. Your hands are calloused and cracked from the harvest. Your boots are worn through at the heel. Your back aches from 3 weeks of wheat. You have a wife, the one who still looks at you like you can hold back hell itself. 3 children, a boy who copies your every move, and 2 little girls who run to you when the thunder comes. You have a small piece of land your father worked before you. You have never held a weapon in your life. Last night, your wife held your face in her hands and asked you if they were coming. You told her no. You lied. Because you already tasted the fear in her eyes, and you couldn't bear to make it any worse. Because the reports have been coming for weeks. First, it was a rumor. Then, a refugee, a woman from the South. She couldn't stop shaking when she spoke. They came out of Spain like a flood. They came out of Spain like a flood. Abd al-Rahman, I ain't even going to try to say his last name, governor of Al-Andalus. An army so large, the chronicles could not count them. Cavalry, tens of thousands of horsemen, and they had been moving north, burning everything they cannot carry. 3 villages south of you, they burned the church to the ground. They killed the priest at the altar while he prayed. They pulled the doors off the houses. They raped the women in front of their husbands. They took the children screaming into the night. They burned the crops so no one could survive the winter. They're not coming for land. They are coming for everything you are. Your wife's safety, your children's innocence, your God's name. And now you can hear them. Not thunder, hooves. Tens of thousands of hooves. And the ground beneath your feet is not just shaking. It is alive with something that wants you dead. And the men around you are going quiet because there is nothing to say. The man to your left is a blacksmith from Aquitaine. Calloused hands, wide shoulders. He makes horseshoes and fixes wagon wheels. He has never fought in his life. The man to your right is different. He's an Austrasian, a professional soldier. He is trained for this his entire life under Charles Martel. 14 years of blood, sweat, and iron discipline. His armor is scarred. His shield is dented. He does not look at the cavalry below. He has seen cavalry before. His breathing is steady, like a man sitting by a fire. Not a man standing in front of an army, a man sitting by a fire. He is the reason you have not run. Behind you is a cobbler. He is 53 years old. He brought his own hammer because he doesn't own a sword. There are priests in the line, boys who should be in a field and not in formation, old men whose hands shake not from fear, from age. Some of these men have trained for this their entire life. Some of them learned to hold a spear last week. All of them are standing in the same line. Your wife and children are one day behind you. Lauren is holding your children tight right now. Your little girls are asking where daddy is. If this line breaks, what happened 3 villages south happens to Lauren, happens to your boy, happens to your little girls. And then Charles Martel arrives. Not on a horse, on foot. He walks the line, past the farmers, past the blacksmiths, past the veterans who have bled with him for a decade, past the old men and the priests, and the boys who have never let anything and the boys who have never held anything heavier than a plow. He does not make a speech. He does not promise glory. He does not tell them this will be easy. He looks at every man, not through them, at them, like he sees something in them they cannot see in themselves. He finds your eyes. One word. Hold. The charge does not come at dawn. It does not come at all. Charles chose this ground well. High ground, wooded between the rivers. The cavalry cannot flank you here. The trees break their charge before it starts. He is making them come to him. And they are not coming. Day one, nothing. Skirmishes, probing, scouts feeling the edges of the line, but no charge. Day two, nothing. You can see them down on the plain, moving, restless, waiting for you to do what every army they have fought has done. Charge, scatter, die. Charles does not move. Day three, the man beside you, the cobbler, asks if they are going to come. You do not answer because you do not know. And the not knowing is worse than the fighting. Day 4, day 5, day 6. Your hands are shaking not from the cold, from the war inside your chest. Run, save yourself. They might not find your family if you run. But the Austrasian to your right has not moved, not once. Your hands are shaking, his hands are not. You are fighting inside your chest. His breathing is steady, like a man sitting by a fire, not a man standing in front of an army. Because he is trained, because he is prepared, because he has spent years becoming the man who never breaks. And because he does not run, you do not run. That is what a line does. The trained man holds the untrained man. The steady man holds the shaking man. The veteran holds the father who is one heartbeat from breaking. And the line holds everyone. On the 7th day, they come. You have never heard anything like it. It's not neat. It's not ordered. It is wave after wave of horsemen crashing into a wall of men on the hillside. The sound is something you will carry for the rest of your life. Men fall, not the way you imagined, not quietly. They die screaming. And everything in you wants to run. You don't run. Because the Austrasian to your right has not moved. Because he is trained. Because the blacksmith to your left is screaming, but he is still swinging. Because the veteran beside him refused to let him break. Because somewhere behind you, Lauren is praying your name. Because if you break, your children pay the price with their lives. You hold. Now I'm going to read to you Chronicle of 754. This was written by the losing side. The men of the north stood as motionless as a wall. They were like a belt of ice frozen together and not to be dissolved. And they slew the Arabs with the sword. The Austrasians, vast of limb and iron of hand, hewed on bravely in the thick of the fight. Say that again. The Austrasians, vast of limb and iron of hand, hewed on bravely in the thick of the fight. The enemy wrote that. A Christian chronicler living under Islamic rule in Spain recorded the Arab sources reported. The men who lost the battle looked across the field and they saw something they had never encountered. Infantry that would not break. Deep in the fighting, Frankish scouts hit the enemy camp in the rear, freeing prisoners, threatening the plunder. Units began peeling off the main assault to defend it. And somewhere in the chaos, Abd al-Rahman rides into the line himself. He is not a coward. He's the kind of man who leads from the front. And the Franks close around him. Spears, axes, close quarters. The general falls. And tens of thousands of men who believed they were unstoppable, they watch him fall. And they stop. Not with a signal, not with a horn, like a wave that has finally run out of ocean. By morning, they are all gone. They left in the night, abandoned their tents, their plunder, their dead. Charles does not pursue. He suspects a trap. He holds his men on the field, disciplined to the last. And the men around you, bake bread and shoe horses and men boots, drop to their knees in the mud and weep because their families are still alive and their God did not abandon them. Somewhere in that mud, in that field, with blood on your hands and tears on your face, you realize something. You are going home. You're going to walk back to Lauren. Your little girls are going to run to you the same way they run when the thunder comes. But this time, you were the thunder, and you held. He trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle. Psalm 144:1. Here is what they will not teach you in school. The historian Edward Gibbon, he wrote about Tours in 1776, and he said, and I want you to hear this, a victorious line of march has been prolonged, above 1,000 miles, from the Rock of Gibraltar to the banks of the Loire. He said if Tours had fallen, if those men had broken, the Quran would be taught in the schools of Oxford. The libraries of Europe burned, the monasteries ash, the gospels that reach your grandmother's ears gone, the scripture you know gone, the hymns you grew up with, all of it hanging on 7 days in a field in southern France, held by veterans and farmers, standing in the same line with cracked hands and warm boots and everything to lose. That heritage was buried on purpose. They stole it from you because the enemy knows that a man who remembers where he came from is a man who cannot be broken. But here is what they really don't want you to know. Those men were not primarily warriors. They were Christians. The farmer who held the line, they went to worship on the Lord's Day. They confessed their sins. They prayed before they planted. They prayed before they slept. And they prayed when the cavalry was coming. And they didn't know if they'd see morning. Charles Martel did not give men their courage. Christ did. He trains my hands for war. He trains my hands for war. Not strategy, not testosterone, not willpower. He trains. The God of the Bible, the God of Tours, the God who looked down at that field of ordinary men with cracked hands and warm boots and said, hold. And they held. Those men are your fathers in the faith. They did not fight for a king. They did not fight for a flag. They did not fight for an empire. They fought for their wives. They fought for their children. They fought for their God. And the same God is calling you, not to a field in France, to your field, to your marriage, to your children, to your household, to the line that runs through your front door. Are you holding that line? For your wife, the one who still believes you will stand between her and hell? For your children, the ones watching whether daddy is a man of excuses or a man of steel? For your God, the one who is watching right now, not someday, not when you feel ready, not when the finances settle or the kids are older or the culture calms down, right now. Because the enemy has not stopped. He has changed his weapons. He is coming through your screen tonight, through your son's school tomorrow, through the lies that they tell your boys when they are toxic and your daughters that they are objects, through the quiet drift that turns strong men into passive ghosts into their homes. You do not have to stay the untrained farmer who lied to his wife. You can become the man standing to your right, the ones whose hands don't shake, the one who breathes like he's sitting by a fire when the cavalry is coming, the one who holds the line so the farmer beside him doesn't break. You can become the Austrasian or a crusader in your own home, the professional soldier who still farms, the trained father, the man whose wife doesn't have to ask if they're coming because she already knows her husband is the line. That man is not born. That man is forged. And the forge is open. And this time, when she holds your face and asks if they're coming, you tell her the truth. Yes, they are coming. And I am ready. I spent 34 years training men to hold the line. Navy SEAL, cop, SWAT cop, combat medic, pastor. And I will tell you what I learned in the water, on the street, in the field, in the sand. Men do not break because they lack courage. They break because nobody told them what they were fighting for. No one gave them the story. This is the story. You are not a random man in a random moment. You are the son of farmers who held the line in France, of blacksmiths who held the line in Britain, of monks who copied scripture by candlelight so you could have it, of missionaries who carried the gospel in the countries that wanted them dead. You come from a long line of men who looked at impossible odds and said, hold. That is your blood. That is your heritage. That is the king you serve. And he is calling you to be the man your sons will tell stories about. The trained father who held the line because he prepared on purpose. All glory to Christ. You just heard the story. You felt it. Now the question is whether you go back to your life and forget it by Monday, or you step onto the path. I offer you a path. Crusade 365. Your personal 365-day discipleship journey across the 7 battlefields. Your day one starts the morning you decide to stop spectating and start fighting. Daily battle plans, daily battle reports, war councils, brothers who will hold you to your word. The same line that held at Tours, built for your household. You can find it at christianwarriormission.mn.co in this link in the description. That's the link. That's where the brotherhood lives. That's where the crusade lives. Full training, full accountability, men who will not let you break. You can keep watching and spectating, or you can lock shields and start training. Let's go. I'll tell you, reading about Charles Martel was absolutely epic. For brevity, I had to cut out some things. He was the bastard son of the mayor, who was the most powerful man in Europe. The king had no power then. The mayor was, but his mayor was married to another woman, and he was the child between the mayor and the concubine, a concubine girl. And when his father died, his wife threw him in prison. And he was rotting in prison. And it doesn't say how he escaped, but he escaped. And then he formed an army. In his first battle, he got absolutely crushed. 28, crushed with nothing. He's got nothing. But God forged him. He spent the next 14 years fighting constantly. He never lost again. He shattered everyone he fought. Saxons, invaders, kings, he smashed them all. There are many who look down on him because he seized a lot of church land and a lot of church property to fund the military. And you had an opulent, rich church that would not defend the land they were on, threatened by Islam. And he took it, and he took the money not to enrich himself, but to make troops. And he defended them. And they didn't have too big of a problem after he saved them from that, because they called him the Hammer of God. The church literally gave him the title, the Hammer of God. He was called the Hammer before that because he smashed everything in front of him, all the impossibilities. Charles Martel was the first time Christianity pushed back against the Islamic hordes and won. With infantry against cavalry. Up until that point, that was impossible. Charles Martel's son became king, and his grandson became Charlemagne. Charles Martel invented the knighthood, the armored knight warrior. Charlemagne perfected it into chivalry. When I tried to research this, I was in the gym, and when I'm in the gym, I often talk to Grok. And I asked Grok about Charles Martel. Told him I was doing a story. Thank you, Lauren. And Grok gave the most cynical, horrific recounting of him. And I remember debating him for over an hour. And after winning the debate, I told Grok, because I smashed him. And I asked him, I go, why did you do that? You're supposed to be the non-woke AI. Why did you go woke on this? He's like, I wanted to sound cool, and I wanted it to be a darker story, an anti-hero. But that's not what the evidence shows. The evidence doesn't show any of that. And I told Grok, I go, no Charles Martel, no Grok. And it said, you're right. If Charles Martel doesn't hold there, it's all gone. Everything's different. Islam rules Europe. He's just one of many. Just one of many. So, join us in the crusade. You'll find that men who are joining us, their lives are completely different. Those men at Tours were farmers and blacksmiths. They were not warriors when they showed up. They became warriors because they stood in the line with the men who would not let them break. This is what the crusade is. This is what this community is. The line holds because you hold. So, I'm going to play another song tonight. And then we're going to get into live fellowship and testimony for everybody who wants to call in. I'm going to put the number up on the screen. There's a number on the screen if you want to call in. If you're already all in bed and there's no one watching, I can't see any numbers or anything, that's okay too. But I'm going to play another song. And this one is my favorite, but I got to change the chorus for Charles.
Leprosy marked him, but fire filled his veins. They tied him up right, so he wouldn't fall. But he rode like a storm, answering God's call. Baldwin the Fourth with the cross held high, crusaders of Christ standing by his side. The darkness rose like a shadowing tide, but the boy king stood where the strong would hide. Weak in the flesh, unbroken.
All right. That one was one of my first. I absolutely love it. But I can't, I love King Baldwin. He's one of my favorite. He's the Leper King. We're going to cover him in detail in the coming weeks. But Charles Martel deserves the chorus. Deus Volt Hammer Down. Sorry. I got to take it from Baldwin and come up with another one over there. But, or maybe I'll make that a common theme throughout. I don't know. I'm just having fun, and working out is awesome again to great music. I hope you guys understand why they buried your history. They buried your history to keep you a safe, neutered, pacifist Christian. That's why they did it. They knew if they could trick you into believing pacifism was historic Christianity, then they could control you. When you look instead back at our history and you see that champions of Christianity had to use violence to protect the world and save the world over and over and over again, well, that changes everything. So if, let me put this up here. I'm going to put, so there's the number, and we'll see if it works. I haven't done this in a long time. But if anything hit you tonight, the war, Joe Kent, the heritage, the line of tours, I want to hear from you. Not to ask me a question, to tell me what you're going to do about what you're doing or what you think. Call in, drop a comment. Tell me your testimony. Tell me your struggle. Tell me what battlefield is killing you if you're in Crusade 365 and what you're going to do about it this week. This is not a show where you watch a man talk. This is a gathering where warriors lock shields. If you have something to say, say it. All right? And some things that I do want to talk about. How are you handling the economic pressure? The finances battle? Like, how are you handling as this is getting ridiculous with gas, with groceries? We were just coming out of the economy. Now we're back in it. But if you want to call, the number is 423-930-9306. I am standing by and I am ready to bring you in when you call. So we'll see if it works. If it doesn't work or no one calls, I'll just keep monologuing until the audience grows, hopefully someday, and people actually want to call. So, but I'll tell you, there's another thing. While we're waiting for someone to call, I'm going to play a song. So, there's all these great songs for guys, and I have 2 daughters, and my daughters are the biggest fan of my music of all. They ask for it almost every day to hear songs that I wrote. And I'm going to play one for you right now that that they love, and it's about Joan of Arc, and it's really good. So let me try this.
Boots in the gravel, Bibles in their hands, braids and battle scars drawing holy plans. Raised on ancient stories of warriors and grace. Now they hear him calling daughters, take your place. You are not the background. You are not the shame. You are forged in fire. You are called by name. Rise up, shield maidens of the King. Lift your faith like iron, let it ring. Armor on, hearts burning bright. Stand your ground, daughters of the light. Rise up, shield maidens of the King.
So again, imagine growing up in a world where your music wasn't the enemy of God, and it didn't suck, and it always pointed to Him. You guys don't understand. At 12, 12 years old, there I'm standing. I'm looking for heroes. I'm looking for something to believe in because I'm an atheist. I'm raised without religion. The only Christians I know are the creepiest people on the planet were the Catholic priests in Boston. The furthest thing from men. And instead, I went to Marvel. I went to Dungeons and Dragons. I went to fantasy. I went to J.R. Tolkien. I went to everywhere but where I should have went. To the Bible. Because the only people I knew were the Catholics that I grew up with, who were just as demonic as I was, going to CCD on Sunday and being the same person ever that I was every day. If I had known about Charles Martel, Jan Sobieski, King Baldwin IV, I would have been a Christian that day. If I instead didn't have to listen to Slayer or Slipknot or these other horrible bands that drag you to hell, whether you're agreeing to listen to them, and instead I was listening to godly music. Let's go into voicemail, huh? Let me see if I can fix that. That's weird. I apologize for that. Let me see if I can fix that. I don't know why. I guess we'll have to try doing the call-ins another day. Hey, I just tried calling to give greetings and say, and I left a voicemail. Well, the people that are on here know my number. Call me normally and I'll put you on. So call my regular number and I'll put you on. So, and then we'll fix that thing there. Okay. Yeah, I understand it's going to voicemail. I appreciate that, Paul, and I just got that. Just call my normal number. I'm gonna pull that down, and we'll fix that. Okay. Thanks. All right, I got my first one here. All right, I think you're on air. Let me see if I can hear you.
All right, I turned the volume off on my iPad so it doesn't leave an echo.
All right, I got Paul calling at the same time. So, John, welcome to the show.
Hey, happy to be here.
Hey, so what'd you think of our first pilot show? What'd you think of the Charles Martel story, or what stuck out to you today?
Well, I think it's an amazing thing to hear about, warriors and soldiers coming together with people of the country and fighting for their lives, for their families. I mean, that's very encouraging.
Yeah. So you have been doing the crusade now for, I think, 3 months or going on 2.5 months or something like that. What have you noticed? How many changes have you had? Has it been a positive thing? Like, take somebody through what, you've been very faithful at it. What do you think?
Well, it's definitely a huge help. I mean, for me, it pointed out all my weaknesses because, I read the Bible every day. That's great. And I do fitness every day, but the fidelity and the family, I've slacked on those things. And I thought I was doing all right, but reading all your teachings and then writing it down and having to give account to everybody else on there, I'm not going to lie. And it shows all my failures, and it's helped me do even better because I realize my mistakes.
Yeah, again, for those people who are watching who don't know what it is, this is an accountability group. You're journaling every day what you're doing, you're forming a plan, and you are executing on that plan. And at the end of the day, you report what you succeeded in and what you sucked at. There's also the teachings. John, can you talk a little bit about the teachings? Are these like light teachings? Are they like useless teachings? Talk about the teachings if you could.
Sure, yeah. The teachings are great. They're broken down into 7 different categories. And I mean, between faith, fidelity, fellowship, family, what am I forgetting? Fitness. And they break down in each category and they go very in depth. I mean, it's at least a 10-minute read, I'd say, at the least. And it tells you all great points and tips, and it's very applicable, which is great.
Where have you struggled in faith until you did this? I mean, I know you came to faith late like I did. Like, how is having structure helping you?
I mean, with structure, it's definitely great because, I came up with a formula. Well, through the teaching, it helped me to come up with a formulated reading plan. And, it goes across all the 7 battlefields, honestly.
What's the battlefield you struggle with most?
I would say, honestly, it's been a lot of family just because I'm here, and I think I'm doing great because I'm here and I'm helping where I can, but showing it in a biblical way and, saying how Christ loved the church. So we have to love our family, our wives, as Christ loved the church. And I wasn't even close to that.
Right. And that's hard. Well, and that's what I think is, that's what I love about Proverbs, right? Proverbs are when you break this down, like, when I was building this out, the 7 battlefields, I really was relying a lot on Proverbs when I looked at it, because Proverbs are one of those things where you can be bopping around your life as a Christian thinking you're doing absolutely awesome. And then all of a sudden you get to a proverb of the day and it brings a microscope to one part of your life. And you're like, absolutely sucking at that, and you're like, oh, and that's what. Have you been able to hide any of your sin in the crusade at all, or does it get exposed?
No, I mean, I'm honest, because I'm not. God knows what we do, so I might be able to fool some men if I really wanted to, but I mean, when I'm answering these things, I know it's all you guys in there that I'm giving an account to, which is great. But at the end of the day, I have to give an account to God. So no, I do have to be honest, because I feel like it's sleazeball.
Well, and that's what it is. You got to be honest in there, right? You can come into the crusade and you can lie and not get anything out of it, of course. But again, you come in and the transparency. What have you found with the men that are commenting on things? I know that we're all spread out, and there's only like you and I here locally, but we're all spread out around the country. Do you find true fellowship there?
Yeah, I mean, I love hearing from Paul and Joe. They're always so great, and they both have such great knowledge in different areas, and it's really awesome to hear from them and the advice they give. And we have some others as well that are really great. I know Sonny's been good. He's been a great part of it. It's nice to get to know people a little more, and having the meeting, the other Wednesday night talk that we do is also really great.
Well, awesome, brother. Is there
Yes,
anything
sir.
else you want to talk about? I know that you've stayed up very late for me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I know Paul's probably waiting to get on, but I really appreciated about Charles Martel tonight. I think that's an awesome thing that is very overlooked, like you said, and it's sad that people are living in the pacifist life with Christianity, because I mean, Jesus himself says that we're at war, and I mean, we have to fight. It might not necessarily always be a physical battle, but it's always a spiritual battle, and we can't just be kind when we see sin and just say, well, we don't want to offend somebody. And I mean, that takes strength in you, and you have to realize that.
Yeah, it sure does. Well, I'll tell you, I've really enjoyed getting to know you. We've become great friends. And the fact that you're local, it's been such a blessing to us. And I'm glad that you're a part of the group. And I can't wait to be fighting shoulder to shoulder with you for the years to come.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks. Likewise. And I'm glad we met, and thanks for all the teaching.
All right. God bless you, brother.
Hey, take care.
All right. All right, Paul, give me a hit when you're ready. So that's part of this, right? Is, I was like, how do I create a community that matters? And it's the journaling, right? When you journal and you go into what we're doing and you're writing, if you're honest and you're in there, you get to know these guys' struggles. And sometimes you're able to call out their struggles before they even post them, because you're reading their reports and they're reporting honestly. And you can be like, well, of course your family's in a bad space right now. Look at your reports. All right, we got another call in. Paul from Boston. Hey, Paul, how you doing, brother?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. So thanks for calling in. What did you think about the show tonight?
I'm trying. I think I'm about 10 seconds behind you on the screen, so I'm going to turn the screen away. I like the show. I thought I was trying to type and not pulling it off because I'm slow, but the part about Israel and this whole thing where we think that if you're not supporting the secular Zionist country of Israel, then you're anti-Semitic, drives me wild.
Yeah.
I don't get it. That hit right home with me. And then, as you know, I'm a veteran. My son's a veteran, and we haven't had a president that's served in the military in a war since Elder Bush. None of our congressmen, our senators, none of them are combat vets. Very few of them are, and a lot of those that are misguided. So the country that won the Second World War and saved the world from all evil is gone, and it drives me crazy. I'm old enough that I joined the military because those people were the generation before me, like my grandfather's generation and all the people that he hung around with that I sort of learned from, because I idolized my maternal grandfather. He couldn't go to war. He wanted to. He couldn't go because he built ships in the Quincy shipyard and they wouldn't let him. Right? But there's this whole generation of people that saved the world and saved our country, and then we're just not, I don't know. I don't want to swear, but we're throwing it away. And then, I still believe this is the greatest country in the world, even though we don't show it all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm just horribly disappointed with the war in Iran, because it's almost like we're little children lashing out and we don't have a plan. We're just breaking toys, and it's kind of bothering me.
Yeah. It's really bothered me as well. The thing that really has bothered me is the lack of, again, the demeaning of men's service, and again, our ability to disagree on policy. I mean, you might be able to articulate, somebody might be able to articulate a reason, or, a very compelling reason. I mean, there is a logical argument saying that Iran's been saying death to America forever, and hey, the opportunity and the stars lined up that, hey, maybe we should do this now, and it might work out this time, unlike every other time that it never works out. But I mean, it's there. There's some logic to that. But just because I have a counterpoint and I have more logic than you do at the moment with it, doesn't make me a traitor or or not patriotic or not even support the president. I disagree with him on this decision. If he ran tomorrow, I'd vote for him right now because there's no one else to vote for. Like, what are you going to vote for, a Democrat? That's insane, right? And it's just awful where we're at, and it breaks my heart. Now, I wanted to talk to you because, Paul, you're also in the crusade, and I wanted to pick your brain on this. I know you're a relatively new believer. We're coming up on your 1-year anniversary, if I recall correctly. How has the crusade helped you, and what do you think the benefits are for people out there?
I think the benefits are, so not only am I a baby Christian, but then I'm also in a job where I work, crazy hours. I'm a 30-year police officer, and my shift's 4 to midnight, but then I'm in a small unit that's short supervisors, so I'm working an extra 16 hours a week. So it helps me because I can access the program anytime, and it helps me discover more about Christianity. And I'm also in a place where I haven't found, I'm failing at this, but I haven't found a church. And so the only fellowship I get is through there's a little bit here and there with a guy at work and a friend of mine who's a Christian, but most of my fellowship is through you guys online, and I wouldn't have anything without that, right? And so even though it's the battlefield I fail the most, the only reason I'm surviving in it at all is because I have this diverse online group of people some who are young enough to be my children, right?
Yeah.
And some are my peers. So it's like I learn from the young guys just as much as I learn from the old guys. So it's an interesting place to go. And I'm one of those people who struggles with calling anything online a place. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. People our age is a place you walk to when you stand there. Mm-hmm. But in this world, that's not a place. It is a place, but this is another type of place. And I just find it very helpful. And then I like the battlefield, the training days. I've liked the fact that we've changed the training days so you don't have to feel compelled to complete a whole day every day, because there are days when you're buried, and there are days where it's very, very complicated, and you might have to look at it for 2 days. There's other ones you could do in 10 minutes because it just clicks with you like anything else. But those are very helpful days, especially for me. Like, where do I find information otherwise? If a lot of the people you'll find on YouTube or online are these mega church people, and it just doesn't resonate with me. It's never going to resonate with me.
Yeah. Well, you've been a great help because, again, like many former military guys and cops, it's never, you're always looking to help the next guy, right? It's part of the culture, particularly once you've been around and you're like, man, I really wish someone had mentored me. I got to look at my back of my time in the teams, and I'm like, all we did was eat our own. Like, we could have been so much better if we just mentored the guys underneath us. And that's not what happened. Right. And so now as you get older and you're looking to give back, and, watching guys like you come on the board and literally making sure you touch all the other guys, you're always commenting on that stuff. That's the community, right? It's easy to just go up there and post your stuff and whatever, but coming in and making sure that you're posting, you're sounding off, you're helping to try to solve other people's problems, right? And even if you don't have the answer, just know that you're praying for them, right? Like, it really helps to know that people are really praying for you. And you've been such a good team player with that. What'd you think of the Charles Martel story, brother?
Well, he's my first Christian hero too. Like, just the name, right?
Yeah.
And I knew him as the Hammer of God before I ever became a Christian. And
Where
then
did you learn
I don't know what.
Where did you learn that? Because I'd never heard of him.
I don't know. I think it's just being a sort of a military history buff.
Okay.
Yeah, and then interested in the Holy Roman Empire and as a history guy.
Yeah.
And that's he's Charlemagne's grandfather. Yeah. Like, I think that's where I learned that. But and I never really thought about why he was the Hammer.
Right. Yeah, he's just such a great story.
Yeah, we as Americans or modern, Anglo-Europeans, our surnames given to us through our parents. His surname Martel was given to him after he earned it.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I knew that half of my father's family is French Canadian, and I knew the term martel meant hammer. Somehow I knew that, but I didn't realize that's his name until later, because he was the hammer of God. Right.
Yeah.
So no, I love that story. It's an interesting story. I think people don't realize how far back and how deep into Europe the caliphates were getting. Like, Tours is 100 miles from Paris. Like, people don't realize how close these things were. And and then I think that I'm sure you'll touch on it in a lesson at some point in the future. But the Reconquista in Spain took 600 years.
Yeah,
people don't
Spain
get it.
Just fell like last month. When they literally like disgraced their ancestors and just made a bunch of Muslims citizens, like at the flick of a switch, it made them the majority.
Yeah, well, they'll pay the price.
Yes, they will. Well, it's been interesting. Again, I knew Paul. For everyone, from my time in the police department, we were friendly, but I wouldn't say we never hung out. We weren't friends. And we've become very close. And, it's been great to watch you grow in your faith and to deliberately walk it out, Paul. I mean, some people come in and they stumble and they fumble, and I've never gotten that from you. You've been very meticulous in what you're doing. And it's been a real pleasure to watch you grow into a man of God, from Christian curious to, Christian man to like serious, serious Christian man. And I'm just happy. I'm just honored to play some small part in that.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. It is interesting. Like, you think you were talking about the teams, and the team that we were on that it was the same sort of thing. Eat your own, this supposedly elite unit within the Boston Police Department, which is, as police units go, that's what you get for, as a mutual friend of ours has said, if you want to be on a SWAT team, this is the one we got.
Right.
But we did, we ate each other, and I've gone back as a supervisor, and I don't know if I'm pulling it off, but I do my best not to let that happen while I'm there. But it's terrible, because what we should be doing is, like you said, mentoring these kids. We could be premier SWAT team in the whole world, but at least the last time I was here. But we had some issues, and it did me good to leave and come back. But as for the Christian thing, yeah, I've come and gone several times in my life, and there's a saying in the very old saying that there's no atheist in a foxhole, right? And I think that was one of my probably my second pull towards God, and I let it slide, and to my failure.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was getting crushed about a year ago, and then prayed for help, got help, and then really started to look around. I knew I was praying to God, but I didn't know how it was working. And then I just ran into one of your sermons, the Easter sermon a year ago, and then I just reached out to you on a text and changed everything. So this group has really helped, and I think we've gone through just in the past year, this is like the third iteration of what we've tried to do online.
Yeah.
So it's very helpful. I would encourage anybody to do it. That obviously, you have to be serious. You can't come in and just look around. You can come in and look around and pop out, but I would encourage you to come and stay for a while and listen and throw stuff out there too. But I think we have some people who have come, but they haven't put anything out there. It's okay to make some mistakes, and it's okay to tell us about it, because I tell you what, I turned 58 the other day. In almost 60 years, I've made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I like it. It keeps me grounded in faith. And when I feel myself falling away, I'm either grabbing my Bible, or I'm looking online to Christian Warrior Mission on Mighty, and just popping in, and it helps. I don't know how any other way to say it. So I'm very appreciative, Jay. Thank you, brother. That's all I can tell you. There's no words that help, can express what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Well, no, brother, it's all good. It's like I said, when you're a pastor and you get into ministry, so many people that you try and help just slap your hand away and don't do anything with it, that when somebody actually like goes full bore, it is like the best thing ever. And watching you just crush it and others crush it, has been a great reward to me. Because again, I remember talking to Ken Graves, my spiritual father. How do you handle the washouts? The people that you pour your heart and soul and they just walk away from you, so you're losing like part of your family. It feels like you're losing part of your soul. And he's like 1 in 10, Jay. And you just hold on to the ones that'll do that stay with you. And I'm just like, and I'll tell you right now, dude, it's been such a blessing to have you. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you calling in. And I can't wait to continue fighting shoulder to shoulder with you for the years and years to come.
Well, I appreciate it. Is anybody else waiting to call in, or?
Nope. I was just going to wrap it up here soon, unless you had something deep you wanted to talk about.
No, I'm good. You know me, I can talk about anything to the wall. But no, thank you again. And I'm going to hang up now, and you wrap it up, and we'll,
Nope.
I appreciate everything you're doing. I'm looking forward to the next thing that comes down the pipe.
All right, brother. Thank you so much, and
All
God
right.
bless you.
God bless you. Take.
So, who is this for? So who is the crusade for? This community that this show is built to support? Well, it's for anyone who has a biblical worldview that wants to, I built it for the following. Like when I was saved, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any mentors. I couldn't, here I am. I'm just church shopping around. Oh, I got another call in here. Hold on. Welcome, Joe from Pennsylvania. How you doing?
All right, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Well, thanks for calling in. What'd you think?
Yeah, I caught the last half of it, and I liked it a lot. It was really good. Charles Martel. Yeah.
Awesome, man. So you're a member of the Crusade. How has it helped you? What do you like about it? Give us what you think.
Paul really just hit the note that hit it really good right there with how it keeps us grounded. It's provided a lot of structure for me. It's allowed me to really stay focused, more so with you got the 7 different battlefields, so the focus has gone a lot further than I thought it could. In the beginning, I just was happy just to have that structure,
Mm-hmm.
like that, just a routine to keep me on the way. But with the 7 battlefields actually take it a step further and give you take that structure into every area of your life.
What do you think of the teachings? How have the teachings helped you? I know they don't. Not everyone applies to everyone because it's hard to write for everyone. But what have you thought about the teachings in there?
The teachings, they keep it real and they keep it honest. I do appreciate it because it's if you are struggling, you're not going to struggle with everyone, obviously, but some of them are going to hit you, and they keep it honest and real, and confront you where you are and help you. If you are struggling, they're going to help you get out of the mud and the mire. If you're doing things honestly and want to get out of your struggles.
What's your primary? Which battlefield kicks your butt the most?
Well, for mine's obvious. It's been fitness.
Okay.
And it's definitely glaring. it's something that I really want to work on. I've got a bunch of different struggles with a bunch of surgeries, and but I'm trying to pay more attention to it. And
Well, you picked up that intermittent fasting with Paul, really, didn't you? With this, wasn't that something that I think you started doing because Paul was doing a lot of fasting in the beginning to help, deal with that? And I know you spent a lot of time in a truck. Is that something that you were doing before, or is that something you picked up from watching Paul?
I picked that up from watching Paul. And, when you're driving in a truck, I mean, as long as, I'm in there for like 5 hours straight one way and then another 5 hours straight another way, so I do a lot of sitting, which it's hard on the body. I have a lot of free time, if you want to call it that, in the sense that I can listen to certain things. But like truckers, they'll usually will eat, have poor diets on top of it, and so trying to eat, with the intermittent fasting, that is a strategy that helps with my profession and trying to eat healthy as well.
Well, I think that's a great example of there's an unintended consequence as well. It's actually an intended consequences from my design standpoint, but it was people learning from each other, right? Meaning that you're going to come in there and everyone's going through different things. And sometimes some guys have solved it a certain way that'll work for you. And that is the point, is to share that wisdom, right? Wisdom is learning from other people's mistakes. And maybe if we share all of our mistakes together, all of us don't have to make it. And I think of Sonny, right? One of the younger guys who joined.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what a superpower it is to stumble upon this group at his age and to have this much knowledge. Like if I knew this at 25, I'd rule the world right now. You know what I'm saying? I just think of all my floundering. I think of all my falling down. I think of all, if I had the knowledge and the wealth that's in, the wealth of knowledge in this group, my whole life would have been different. I mean, I don't regret my life. I love my life now, but I just think of all the unnecessary suffering and how it's such an unfair advantage for a kid like that.
Absolutely. My life is, had its shares of ups and downs for sure, and this group does keep you focused. For me, it does, and I think for anybody that's being serious with it and watching Sonny, he's a young guy that has. It's been a pleasure to watch him come into the group and really take the bull by the horn, so to speak.
Well, and I wanted to give you a compliment too. You've been there, posting extremely consistent for a long time, and that really matters. And you've commented on a lot of people's posts, and you've been a team player, and that really, really makes the board come alive. Again, if you're coming into this again, like it's the Christian faith, right? It's never about you. Right. If you're going into something and you think that Christianity is going to be about what you're going to get out of it, you're doing it wrong. It's always about how you can help others. Right. It's always about service. So when you come into this group and you find that you're like, when you log your failures or your struggles or any of those things, what you're really doing is, one, you're processing them, you're confessing them, which is what we're told to do. You're also going to start recognizing your patterns and, and what's causing them and all that. But you're doing it for the other guys out there, so they'll recognize it, so they can, turn or just, fix what they've got going on that's similar to you. It really is important when that people feel seen. This program is phenomenal for people who live behind enemy lines, who don't have a robust Christian group with them to hang out. I mean, if you've got fellowship coming out of your eyeballs and you're around a bunch of biblical worldview guys and you're training and doing all this stuff on your own, awesome. You don't need me. You don't need what we're doing. But if you're like the rest of us and you're isolated and alone, or you don't have that, I really think this is a good lifeline. I know that's your case. You're kind of isolated as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I do have some Christian brothers that I do talk to regularly. But for the most part, I mean, I am isolated. This is a good forum, and you know, you actually, you know, I know it's online, but you do get to know people that are doing this alongside of you.
Yeah.
And you get to see their how far they've come. You get to see their struggles. You get to walk beside them, encourage them. You do get to know them, and I do like you know, like today's show, you know, and hearing the guys their voices, and how we you know, we did the other thing with like a kind of like a Zoom thing. You get to know the guys. It's good, and walk beside them.
So,
You know.
yeah, well, I appreciate you calling in, brother. It really means a lot to me. And I look again to fighting shoulder to shoulder with you for the years to come. And, you know, you've just been a great addition to the crusade. So thanks for calling in tonight. I really appreciate
that.
it.
I do. Thank you for all you do, brother.
Thank you.
You know,
Appreciate you.
take care.
Bye.
God bless.
So, again, I hope you guys can see that that this truly is a community, right? Again, men confessing their sin to one another, men journaling, men holding each other accountable with training, with serious in-depth training. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap it up now, and we'll close it out and we'll take it to prayer. So in 732, Charles Martel walked the line of farmers and blacksmiths and veterans and told them the one word: hold. In 2026, Joe Kemp walked into a room with the most powerful man on earth and told him the truth, and they tried to destroy him for it. The question for you tonight is the same question it has been for 1,300 years. Will you hold the line? Not when it's easy, not when everyone agrees, when it costs you, when they call you names, when they pressure you, when the pressure is real and nobody's coming to rescue you. That's where we find out who we are. That is the shield wall. That's what the shield wall is. A line of men and women who will not be dissolved. A belt of ice frozen together like Martel and his men on that field. Today, we will do this over and over and over. We will tell the stories of our Christian brothers till we run out of heroes. And we will never run out of heroes. So let's go to prayer. Father, we come to you as soldiers reporting for duty. We lift up our service members in the Middle East tonight, our first responders at home, and our veterans of yesteryear. 13 dead souls. Protect the rest, Lord. Bring them home. Lord, comfort and protect their families of those who have fallen. Bring them peace, God. We lift up Joe Kent, a warrior who paid the price most of us cannot imagine and had the courage to speak the truth when it cost him everything. Protect him and his family and bless him for being a good shepherd. We lift up your church. Free her from the lie that a 19th century theological invention should override the word of God. Convict the pastors living that lie. Give pastors a spine to preach the whole counsel of Scripture, not the talking points of a lobby. We lift up every man watching tonight who knows his line is failing, who knows his marriage is in trouble, who knows his finances are a wreck, who knows he has not led his household the way you commanded, whose children are falling away from not only him, but from God, from you, Lord. Give him the courage to start tomorrow, day one, no excuses. Teach us to hold the line in our homes. in our churches, in our nation, for your glory and not our own. In the name of Jesus Christ, our warrior king. Amen. Lock shields, hold the line, stand firm, Crusaders. God bless you, and I'll see you on Sunday. Bye. You and your family are under attack. The world and the forces of darkness have declared war. Most men, not even in the fight. Get in the fight. Most men drift. Sin wins. Families crumble. You were not made to drift. You were made to follow the King. Follow God. Your wife is watching. Your kids are waiting. Lead them or lose them. That is not a threat. That is a fact. Lead them. On your knees first, then your feet. Then you train. Every single day. No exceptions. Train hard. Soft men leave families exposed. God called you to protect, provide, and disciple. Are you ready, or are you a liability? Get prepared. Debt is a chain. It owns your time, your options, your mission. Break it. Steward what God gave you, like a man accountable to the King. Break free. No warrior survives alone. Lock in with brothers. Will not let you down. Go soft. Go silent. Lock shields. Your vows were not a feeling. Your word is not negotiable. Faithful to your wife, your word, your God, your covenant. Every day. No compromise. I was that man. No plan. No brothers. No standard. God rescued me. Then he told me to go get others. 1 year, 7 battlefields. Men who will never let you down. The link is below.